Hi everyone, and welcome to the Hibbett module guide for PrismAIO. In this guide, we're going to start off by showing you guys how to create the task groups and tasks for Hibbett. Next, we're going to move into an FAQ section, and then finally, we're going to talk about how to efficiently run for restocks on Hibbett, since they do restock pretty often, and I know a lot of you guys have been asking. All right, so let's go ahead and create a task group first. Obviously, we're going to be in the Task Groups tab. Go ahead and click New Task Group. And then you can choose any name that you'd like. I'm just going to write Hibbett. In the drop-down menu for the group site, make sure you choose Hibbett. And go ahead and create the task group. All right. So next thing we got to do is enter the monitor input and also the variance. So most of the times we will provide the monitor input and variance in a release guide. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. You can find all our release guides on the Discord channel. And if you take a look, I believe this is the Crimson Tint release. Yep. So if we go on the bottom, right here, you'll see Hibbett, drop time 10 a.m. Eastern Standard, and the monitor input is right here. So I'm going to go ahead, copy and paste that in. And then we also have the variants listed by size. So 7, this is the variant that corresponds with 7. Next, you want to make sure that you copy and paste every variant line by line. So I went ahead and did this earlier. Let me just go ahead and copy all of them right here. And as you can see, all the variants are copy and pasted in. One variant per line, and there's no extra spaces or extra characters. Just make sure, because I know some of you guys sometimes will copy and paste, and when you're copy and pasting, there might be like an extra space there. So just make sure there's no extra spaces. All right, next you're going to choose the proxy list. You want to make sure that you're using high quality proxies because a lot of proxies do get banned on Hibbett once Cloudflare goes up. So just make sure you're using high quality proxies, and we'll go into that later in the FAQ section. Delay wise, you want to make sure that you're set it to 3500 for your monitor delay, which is the default value that automatically pops up when you create a Hibbett task group. Next, we have statistics. You can keep this open or closed. It doesn't affect performance in any way, but this is more of a visual guide as to how your tasks are doing. And then finally, we have scheduling. So this section actually gets confused a lot. So if you look at the guide, we tell people to set drop time to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for your local machine time. What a lot of people mistake this scheduling part is they consider this the drop time. This is not the drop time. This scheduling basically will, if you schedule for a certain time, let's say 9 a.m., that basically means that all your tasks inside this group are going to start at 9 a.m. So they'll stay idle and then they'll start at 9 a.m. This is not what we want for Hibbett. Because essentially, you do want to start your task for Hibbett when Cloudflare goes up, and we will announce when that happens. All right, so we're going to go ahead and create tasks now. All our monitor settings are set. Go ahead and choose your profile. For this example, we'll use a real profile. Delay, you want to keep your task delay at the default value for now when creating tasks. Choose a proxy list. You can choose the same proxy list that you used before. Generally, I like to use the same one just because most of the times I just want to be sure that I'm using high quality proxies that I know are not banned on Hibbett. And then now we have the variant section. So if you have select variant highlighted and click on this drop down menu, it will have all these different variants listed. These variants are the ones that you copied and pasted over here earlier. So if I want to run specifically for size 8.5, I would go ahead and click that right here. Drop time. I'm sorry, let's go back. And then if I want to click one per profile, basically what that will do is it will create one task and choose one variant. If I had, let's say, a profile group, it will create 58 tasks because I have 58 profiles, and it'll use a variant on each task, and it'll randomly go through the list. And then finally, we have all per profile. So if I go back to having only one profile selected, it will create 8 tasks because there's 8 variants in this list, and it'll create 1 task per variant. So let's go ahead and do that option. And then for drop time, so this is where you're going to set it to whatever the drop time is. So my local machine is on Eastern Standard Time, so I'm going to go ahead and choose 10 a.m. right here. Always make sure that you're on AM and not PM. And then we're going to go ahead and create our 8 tasks. All right, so as you can see, I only had 1 profile selected. That was my business Amex profile. And it now has a different unique variant for each size, or I'm sorry, for each task. So that's pretty much it when it comes to task creation. Super straightforward. I know a lot of these values here, sometimes like select variant, 1 per profile, all per profile, those confuse a lot of people, but hopefully the explanation was pretty clear. All right, so now let's kind of go into the FAQ section. So for the FAQ section, we're gonna kind of talk about what some of the most common questions are and answer them. So first question is, when do I start tasks? So we will always announce in the release announcement channel when to start tasks for Hibbett. The main reason being is you always want to start tasks once Cloudflare is enabled. Cloudflare is a specific type of bot protection that Hibbett uses, and we will monitor it on our end, and we will let you guys know when to start tasks. So that's why the whole scheduling aspect isn't really helpful here. I mean, let's say there's a lot of drops happening at 10 a.m. and you just know Hibbett is on your lowest priority, but you just want to run it. You could set it maybe like 1 or 2, 3 minutes before and just hope for the best, but it's always best to start right when Cloudflare gets enabled so you have a decent amount of time for your task to solve Cloudflare, solve Perimeter X, and then get the countdown going. All right, next question. What delays do I run? So, like we talked about before, monitor delay should always be at 3500. Task delay, when you create your tasks, you want them to be at 3500. So, for example, we're going to go ahead and let's let 3 of these tasks run. So they're going to go through a series of steps. They're going to try to solve Cloudflare. They're going to solve PX CAPTCHA. Right now, Cloudflare is not enabled because it's not prior to a drop. But as you can see, it picked up. There might be a couple errors when it solves PX CAPTCHA, but as long as you aren't stuck on that step, you should be okay. So as you see, 1 task is now on countdown. Might take a couple tries for it to solve PX CAPTCHA. Usually it's due to the quality of the proxies. So there might be a couple proxies in my list that are currently not generating PX as well, or able to pass that stage. So now we have 2 tasks on the countdown. So it's basically counting down to 10 a.m. tomorrow because I set the drop time to 10 a.m. So let's say it's a couple seconds before. Let's say it's 9:59. And 5 seconds before, what I'm actually going to do then is I'm going to highlight all my tasks. So you can do Control A to highlight everything, all the tasks in your group, or just for these tasks, since these tasks are the only ones running, I'm going to go ahead and click Update Selected and change the delay to either 500, anywhere from 500 to 1,000. Really depends on how many proxies you have, and also how much, if you're using residential proxies, 500 might be better because you're always going for speed on Hibbett. So you can go ahead and choose any value from 500 to 1,000. I probably wouldn't go under 500 because you might get your proxies banned. And let's say it's 5 seconds before, quickly update it, and there you go. Your task will then try to submit order at 1,000 millisecond delay. All right, next question. How do I know if Cloudflare is enabled? So we will always kind of tell you when Cloudflare is enabled in the Discord. As we said before, we'll announce when it goes up. But if you want to check for yourself, if you go on Hibbett's website right now, so let's say we're on the main page and we click, we don't really see a Cloudflare loading screen. This is kind of this page that you'll get sent to first before the actual Hibbett website loads. So if you see this pop up, that means Cloudflare is enabled. and that's kind of how you can tell. All right, next question. What does failed to solve Cloudflare mean? So you'll see the task status sometimes say failed to solve CF. If you see the status, most of the times you should restart your tasks. If you see other tasks sometimes go through and get to the countdown while others go on the failed to solve CF status, that just means that it was just unable to solve Cloudflare. And if you restart it, most of the times it will go through. So unless you're seeing all types of errors where it says failed to solve Cloudflare, in that situation, it's most likely your proxies that just can't solve and can't get past. All right, next question. Does Hibbett cancel? So Hibbett previously did not really cancel, could not care. And now they are actually pretty aggressive with canceling. So it is pretty important that you use as many unique profiles and preferably as many unique physical addresses, just because I've known people who will sometimes get multiple pairs shipped successfully using an address jig, which is basically a way to alter your address. But after that drop, they will have that address permanently banned by Hibbett. So just be careful, especially if you plan on trying to put a lot of resources into Hibbett. Just it might be a good investment to try to find as many physical addresses as possible. All right, next question. What type of proxies should I run? So residential proxies are actually the best, I would say, for Hibbett, just because they have very strong proxy protection during drops. So right now, like your proxies might be working when testing, you might be getting to the countdown, but when Cloudflare goes up, a lot of proxies get banned. So just be wary about this. And also, I would say if you do use residential proxies, just be careful because Hibbett does use a lot of data. So it's kind of like a trade-off. It's like residential proxies might work better and might actually be able to access Hibbett during the drop, but you're going to eat a lot of data. Versus ISPs, they'll be faster. And if you have clean, unbanned ISPs, that's actually the most preferred type of proxy to use on Hibbett. But there's a possibility they might be banned when Cloudflare goes up, which basically makes each task useless that has that proxy list. All right. And then next question is, what is the difference between scheduling time and the drop time? So to quickly go over this again, scheduling is basically it's going to trigger all these tasks to start. So right now they're at idle. If I set it for, it's right now about 11:08. Let's say I set it for 11:08. When it turns 11:08, all the tasks will automatically start. For Hibbett, we're going to tell you when to start because you want to start when Cloudflare goes up. So in this case, scheduling is not needed at all and not really recommended. Drop time is when you actually create your tasks, and that's when you set it to the drop time or the release time. All right, next question. Do I have to solve CAPTCHAs? So basically there's no CAPTCHAs involved. As you can see, there's actually no CAPTCHA source. So if you run like the footsite modules, you'll notice that you can select the CAPTCHA source. We handle everything on our end, so there's no CAPTCHAs that need to be solved. Next question, why are my tasks stuck on solving PX CAPTCHA? So tasks that are stuck on solving PX CAPTCHA means that the proxies you are using are banned and are unable to pass solving PX CAPTCHA. So a lot of times that's kind of the clear way to know if your proxies aren't working. So if you're stuck on that stage, really the only way to fix it is to switch out your proxies and use proxies that are going to work. So if your ISPs aren't working, try using a residential proxy list. Hopefully you have better chances then of passing PX. All right. And then finally, how do I get Hibbett variants? So Hibbett variants, it's kind of complicated on how to get them. So unless we really provide them, unless one of the support guys provides them or one of your cook groups provides them, we won't be, or you won't really have a way of getting them. And unless we deem the shoe actually profitable, we won't be providing variants. So there's some, obviously Hibbett drops all types of shoes. And if it's a pair that the support team doesn't deem profitable, we won't be posting the variants. So we generally recommend that you ask your cook group or whatever different types of groups you're in. And if there is a shoe that we miss that you think is profitable, definitely send us or ping us in the Discord so we can take a look. And if we deem it profitable, we will definitely go ahead and try to get the variants for everyone. All right, so now let's move on to how to set up for restocks. I know a bunch of people run for Hibbett Restocks, and that was actually one of the most popular things before Hibbett changed to Cloudflare V2. So let's go ahead and just talk about Hibbett Restocks in general. So Hibbett used to restock on a very consistent pattern. Before it used to be at the 15th minute, the 17th minute, 35th minute, 37th minute, and it used to be in 30-minute increments. So for example, let's say the drop time is at 10 a.m. They would sometimes restock at 10:15, right? Then next restock would be at 10:45, or it would be at 10:17, then it'd be at 10:47. It used to be in almost like 30-minute increments. These days, they've been kind of switching it up. We've seen restocks, Hibbett restock heavily from 6 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and other times they follow the old pattern where they do it in 30-minute increments at random times during the hour. So one of the ways to kind of determine that is obviously being part of a group that has a Hibbett monitor. So if you see a shoe pop up or restock at a certain minute, it might be good to set your drop time 30 minutes in advance. So for example, let's say drop happens 10 a.m., none of your tasks go check out, and you want to run for restocks. What I would do then is stop your tasks. I'm going to go ahead and highlight all your tasks. Make sure your delays are back at 3,500 because you probably dropped them already for the initial drop. And then change the drop time to 10:17 a.m., right? Once it does that, you can go ahead, start your task again. Go ahead and start. And then it's almost the same thing as initial drop. You're going to drop the delays to 500 to 1,000. For restocks, I might run 500 because obviously there's lower stock. And 3 to 5 seconds before, I'm going to go ahead and click update and lower my task delays. So generally, this is what you're going to do every time. Let's see. Let's kind of show you guys what it's going to look like. Right now it's 11:12. I'm going to go ahead and change this to 11:13. Let's see, 40 p.m. And we'll go ahead and let that run. So they should get to the countdown, and they should be counting down. Oops. So let's just make sure that it's at 3,500. And we are going to wait and see what happens. All right. So submitting customer information. As you see, it's counting down right now. I'm going to have this ready to drop. I'll set it at 1,000 right now, just because I don't want to burn my proxies. But normally, most of the times I would run 500. And we're going to drop. It's 5 seconds before. And you should see it trying to submit order. So you're going to see it go. A lot of times you'll instantly know if you checked out. But as you saw, it said submitting order, and it went to retrying payment. And then it goes to solving PX capture, and it'll keep going through this loop. So when you see the retrying payment status, what that means is that the product is out of stock, and the task is going to basically try to keep submitting the payment again in the hopes that the product comes back in stock and you are able to successfully check out. What I usually do for restocks and what is recommended is if I think it's going to restock at 10:17 and it did restock, I'll keep my task running from 10:17 all the way to 10:18. So it's a full minute. So you should be running for a full minute straight. And let's say it doesn't drop or you weren't successful that time. What you're going to do then is update your delays back to 3,500. And kind of repeat the same process and then go in 30-minute increments. So let's say we ran at 10:17 earlier. We're going to run at 10:47. All right, now that it's all set, you're going to start all over. and it's basically just keep continuing that process. So Hibbett does take a lot of, or not a lot, I would just say definitely a little more monitoring than other like websites. So for example, like foot sites, if you're running for restocks, you might just let it run at, you know, a higher delay and just kind of let it keep running. Hibbett, because of the security of the website, you don't want to keep your tasks running 24/7, and you definitely don't want to be running 1,000 task delay for your tasks, or else you'll pretty much have your proxies get banned pretty quickly, and then they won't be good for any other drops. So yeah, that was pretty much the Hibbett guide, and I hope it really helped a lot of our users understand the module, and we hope to see a lot of you guys cooking more. All right, thank you guys.